Today, we're diving into a world where mosasaurs never went extinct. Do you remember that scene in Jurassic World where the Mosasaurus swallows an entire great white shark? Now, imagine if that weren't fiction, but reality, massive marine giants ruling every ocean. What would it be like to fish, swim, or even sail in waters where these creatures lurk beneath the surface? My name is Arthinox, and this is the channel Cloaked Mysteries. Get ready to explore the era of the mosasaurs on an alternate planet, filled with terror and mystery. First, we need to understand why mosasaurs were such lethal predators. They weren't just ordinary aquatic reptiles, they were evolved killing machines. With inward curving teeth, they captured any prey that dared try to escape. Their streamlined bodies could reach speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour, making their attacks nearly impossible to evade. A warm blood metabolism allowed them to hunt in cold, deep waters without losing energy. Every aspect of their anatomy was built for dominance, from their massive skulls to precise fins. Their teeth didn't just pierce, they grabbed like living hooks of flesh. A powerful tail propelled them through rapid, devastating strikes. Fins acted like rudders, giving them complete control over direction. Adapted vision allowed them to see in murky waters, detecting movement from dozens of meters away. Vibration-sensitive organs, similar to those of snakes, warned them of nearby prey or rivals. This unique combination made the mosasaur the absolute terror of Cretaceous seas. Even smaller species had remarkable specializations. Hoffmannies hunted in open waters like modern sharks, keeping their prey on constant alert. Plate carps infiltrated coral reefs, using compact bodies to maneuver through narrow spaces. The bite of an adult mosasaur could generate over 16,000 newtons of force. With that power, even a modern submarine hull would be crushed effortlessly. Unlike sharks, they didn't need to keep moving to breathe. Camouflaged, they could lie in wait, motionless, for the perfect moment to strike. The result, a predator that dominated all oceanic environments. From shallow coastal waters to the open sea, nothing escaped their presence. For over 20 million years, they shaped entire ecosystems in their image. When mosasaurs ruled, sharks were merely secondary players, with no real chance at competition. These reptiles turned every dive into a lethal battlefield. If mosasaurs had never disappeared, sharks would be entirely different creatures. They would have evolved to specific habitats, perhaps nocturnal or highly camouflaged. The megalodon, the largest shark in history, likely would never have existed. All ecological niches would be occupied by giant mosasaurs. This would completely reshape the marine food chain. Secondary predators would have to adapt to a world dominated by true kings. Even early whales would have felt the constant pressure. Without large sharks to dominate, but with mosasaurs lurking, they would need to be faster and more agile. Coral reefs would remain teeming with small, quick fish, avoiding predation. Open water species would develop entirely new survival strategies. Migration cycles would shift dramatically, steering clear of dangerous territories. All of this shows how the presence of super predators drives evolutionary change. Even mangroves and estuaries would become strategic refuges. There, smaller sharks could find shelter out of reach of adult mosasaurs. This ecological split would create two entirely distinct oceanic worlds. Open waters would be zones of absolute terror, dominated by giants. Coastal areas would allow only limited survival for other species. The continuous presence of mosasaurs would completely redraw marine life. How would humanity cope with these colossal predators? If early hominids had encountered mosasaurs, maritime history would be entirely different. Our first ships would face deadly attacks instead of simple exploration. Coastal civilizations might develop terrifying mythologies. Perhaps they would worship these creatures as gods or supreme monsters. Ancestral fear of the sea would shape both culture and navigation technology. Building resilient ships would become mandatory. Metal hulls and underwater protection systems would be standard. Even fishing and coastal exploration would require advanced strategies. Oil platforms and submarine cables would need special barriers. Human technology would be tested to its limits to coexist with these predators. Innovation would be a matter of survival. Our ingenuity could turn the tide, but at a massive ecological cost. Advanced sonar would detect mosasaurs kilometers away. Underwater acoustic weapons could keep them away from critical areas. Overfishing and habitat destruction would reduce their numbers. In the end, mosasaurs would become endangered species, much like sharks today. Yet, our respect and caution would remain, a constant reminder of their superiority. Coastal human life would have to adapt radically. Navigation routes would be meticulously planned to minimize deadly encounters. Coastal cities would require special protections and strategic planning. Deep-sea exploration would be risky and heavily regulated. The presence of mosasaurs would shape humanity's relationship with the ocean. Fear and awe would walk hand in hand with every dive. If mosasaurs continued to dominate, the oceans would be drastically different. Marine evolution would follow distinct paths, shaped by superpredators. Species would develop complex camouflage and intelligent migration cycles. Fish, whales, and sharks would adapt to territories marked by giant predators. Human geography would also be affected. Space exploration might have been accelerated as a means to escape dangerous seas. The mere presence of these monsters would redefine entire ecosystems. Rivers, bays, and estuaries would become strategic refuge zones. Open waters would remain inhospitable, ruled by giants. Fish and mammals would evolve entirely different survival strategies. The entire food chain would be shaped by these colossal predators. Humanity would learn to respect the ocean like never before. The disappearance of mosasaurs allowed modern marine life to thrive. Without them, whales and large sharks would have evolved differently. Humans could navigate and explore without constant fear of predators. Oceanic balance was restored, enabling diversity and adaptation. Mass extinction was crucial in shaping the seas as we know them today. Reflecting on this helps us value marine life in the present. This alternate history demonstrates the importance of ecological balance. Every species has a vital role in the web of life. The absence of superpredators allowed other forms of life to flourish. It reminds us of the impact a dominant species can have on an entire planet. Human survival depends as much on adaptation as it does on respect for the oceans. Extinction, as cruel as it may seem, often serves as a catalyst for evolution. If mosasaurs existed today, we would still be vulnerable visitors. Despite our technology, they would remain the true rulers of the seas. Diving and sailing would require extreme courage. Every maritime journey would involve calculated risks and advanced equipment. The oceans would be dominated territories, with humans as mere observers. Coexistence would demand innovation, respect, and extreme caution. Modern marine life would be radically different. Reefs, bays, and open seas would be organized around the presence of mosasaurs. The food chain would adapt to contend with giant predators. Even smaller species would develop sophisticated survival strategies. Our perception of the ocean would blend admiration with fear. The aquatic world would be governed by ancient, relentless laws. Exploring this alternate reality makes us value our unique planet even more. The existence of mosasaurs today would be a brutal reminder that, despite all our technology, we are still vulnerable in the oceans. We could observe, navigate, and explore, but always with respect and caution, aware of forces in nature that should never be underestimated. This reflection teaches us about ecological balance, the importance of each species, and how evolution has shaped life in unpredictable ways. The oceans would not be mere bodies of water, they would be territories of power, strategy, and constant survival. Every dive, every boat trip would be an act of courage, a reminder of our humble place in the grandeur of life. Humanity, when confronted with predators like these, would learn profound lessons in adaptation, patience, and ingenuity. Advanced technology, strategic planning, and innovation would become essential tools for coexisting with giants. This hypothetical reality shows us that without the disappearance of these marine titans, our own history would have been radically different. Terrestrial civilization might have developed with constant fear of the sea, terrifying myths, and a relationship of absolute respect toward the deep waters. Coastal cities, fishing, maritime exploration, and even human geography would have been shaped by their imposing presence. It's astonishing to realize how crucial the extinction of mosasaurs was in allowing mammals like whales to thrive and humanity to venture into the seas without constant threat. Reflecting on this makes us value the freedom we have to explore the world today. We can dive, sail, and observe marine life without the looming shadow of colossal predators. It reminds us that ecological balance is fragile and that every human action can impact entire species. Extinction, as harsh as it seems, often opens pathways for new life forms and opportunities we could never have imagined. It inspires us to care for today's oceans, preserving biodiversity and ensuring future generations can also admire marine life. The sea, while our ally, remains a domain of respect, mystery, and primal power. If you enjoyed this dive into an alternate world, remember that there's much more to explore. Leave a like. Comment, would you dare enter the water knowing mosasaurs are there? Share your theories, fears, or curiosities about what life would be like in a world dominated by these super predators. And don't forget to subscribe to Cloaked Mysteries to continue uncovering the secrets of the past and the unknown. Every video is an opportunity to journey into realities that challenge our imagination and connect us to the history of life on Earth. A big hug. And until the next dive into the mysteries of Cloaked Mysteries, where the past and the unknown meet to inspire us.